This is Texans TV.
Well, hello there. This is Texans Playbook. I'm Drew Doherty, and we are outside NRG Stadium with another fantastic edition of Texans Playbook. We appreciate you checking us out, and because on this show, it's going to be a joint venture, not just between me and you, but between the Texans and another football team, as some of their legends got together to help the hungry. Plus, we'll hear from the general manager, Nick Caserio. We'll also take a look at J-Joe's pretty fascinating interview with Chase B. But we begin with the head coach. DeMeco Ryans went one-on-two with the voice of the Texans, Mark Vandermeer, and radio sideline reporter John Harris in this interview. And here's a snippet of that conversation.
Joining us in studio, it's head coach DeMeco Ryans. Coach, great to see you.
Hey, great to see you guys as well.
All right, so a little water under the bridge since the game took place with the Lions, and obviously disappointing to lose that game. But, Coach, a lot went right that night. So how do you as a coach take what went right and use it for the team moving forward as you play Dallas on Monday night?
Right, you look at that first half, a lot of things did go right for us. A lot of positive things went well, but the thing about football is you have to finish.
Right.
Right. And I always highlight the positive things that our guys did defensively to be able to take the ball away like we did 5 times. That's huge, right? Most I've ever had, coaching or playing to get 5 takeaways in a game. That's really big for us. I thought we played the run well up until like when we needed the most in the fourth quarter. So you highlight and I show the guys when we play it right and we do it well, like the team's going to struggle running the ball against us. Also, offensively, we had some explosive plays, right? Explosive plays on the screen, some third down plays, Dalton, Mechie, beating man coverage. Really something we've been harping on and how we have to beat man coverage. And some really good route running, really good protection from our offensive line. CJ had time to deliver the football. So a lot of positive things that we can continue to see and build on because we do it right? We went and competed versus one of the top teams in the NFL, right? And this team, and a lot of people are choosing to go all the way, and we had control of that game, for most of the game, for 3 quarters, we had control of the game, and then, it flipped on us. So for us, and my message to our guys is, like, when you go through this little tough passes, tough times, it's not just about getting through it, right? It's about growing through it. So through this difficult time, like, can we grow through it? Like, what lesson are you learning? How is that shaping your character? How is that strengthening your resolve? Like, how is that really strengthening your focus when you're lined up and you have to dial in a little extra? Like, how locked in are you to make that block? How locked in are you to make that right read and be in the right spot versus a pass concept? Like, that's what I want our guys to take away from it. Like, and to go higher, to soar to new heights. Like, there is, as we, everybody heard the adage where taking the stairs or taking the escalator. Right. And I told our guys today we're taking the stairs, right? We're taking the hard way, but it's okay because we both get to the top, but by taking the stairs, we're going to be a little stronger. And our team right now, we need to get stronger. We need to grow. We need to change some things. We need to have that championship mindset, and you got to see what it takes to win games. And our guys, I feel like they've learned that over the past couple of weeks, going through some tough losses, some difficult times. Like, you see how the extra and how the little things, right, really shape up to be big things, because that's where our miscues were in the game. It's all those little things, like whether it's snap timing or cadence or being like it's eyes and just being in footwork. Like, it's all those little things that add up to show you like, oh man, I really have to be on it if we're gonna go play playoff football and beat playoff teams. Like, those little things have to be, like, we have to knock those out 100%.
Coach, every time I hear somebody say 5 interceptions, and you mentioned it a second ago, I think, well, it should have been 6. I mean, if Sting hangs on to that one, and look, we've come to expect that from Sting because that's a similar play that he made against Denver last year. But the one that stands out the most, I think, to me because of our early struggles this year with the deep ball was the one that Kalen made on J-Mo down the field, where Williams is running that route, and it's like, man, that's a route I guarantee he's open 9 out of 10 times, and yet Kalen seemed to play that well. So he gets a pick there. Kamara has 2. Your two rookies have 7 picks between them, which I think is an incredible number. And we've talked about this a little bit, but I felt like that play that Kalen makes going over the top of J-Mo to make that deep interception to take that away. And you took away J-Mo's impact because of Stingley's play and of Kalen's play. What do you say about what Kalen's giving you in that deep end right now, how he's playing, how he's getting better and helping that whole secondary?
Yeah, Kalen has done an outstanding job, and that's what he excels at. You talk about a guy playing in the deep part of the field. What sticks out about him is as a young player, sometimes you forget he's a rookie, but he just doesn't panic. When the ball is in the air, like he plays with really good depth, and it allows him to actually play the football. So he's not in a panic position where he's trying to catch up to a receiver. Like he's on top in good position. Now he's just able to play the football and go back to playing receiver. And he does a great job of going up and catching the ball at his highest point, what you try to teach all DBs. And, he's made play after play each game. He finds a way to come up with the football. And even the one with Stingley, like he's back there deep to help Stingley. And Stingley, like we've seen Stingley make that catch a ton of times, not only in game, but also in practice. I know Stingley would love to have that one back, but it just showed like when we're on the game plan and we know their deep threat is J-Mo and we're able to be on top and not give up the deep ball, like that's winning football.
So Mark and I talked about this. We wrote down Jared Goff's 5 games before this one. Mm-hmm. And then you look at his numbers from this one. You held him to 50%, 5 interceptions in the game. That's even lower than the percentage that you were giving up in a completion percentage, 54.9. Do you guys have a particular goal when you go into a game? Hey, we want less than such and such percentage. You guys have a goal? Because I would imagine you probably reached it the other night going against a guy that was completing 80% of his passes.
Oh, man. I never put a number on that goal when it comes to completion percentages. My main goal, anytime, depending on the quarterback we're going against, is how do I disrupt his process? So whatever, like I've seen him excel at throughout, the first last 4 games, I try to throw some different pictures at him, right, to make him get off of his game, right, and not give him the easy throws. And that's where Goff really excelled when he had the play action throws. Like he tried to throw on us, guys were just wide open. Yeah. So it starts with, first off, guys, we just cover your guy. Right. All right, when we cover our guys, that's the start of it. And then when you mix in different coverages and different looks, different disguises, right, it just throws them off of what we've been doing. We just put a different spin on it, right, to present it a different way so our quarterback can't just sit back and know exactly what coverages we're playing.
Coach, with Kenyon out, you juggled things on the offensive line. You moved Juice over to guard and Patterson at center, who's played there before. So take the viewer, listener through how you make those decisions and what you look at when you're re-coordinating things with positions.
Yeah, well, the first thing we look at is, you want, first and foremost, who can be dependable and who's going to be a great communicator. On the offensive line, there's a lot of communication that goes on when it's IDing guys of which linebacker are we going to in the run game or which D tackle or DN are we sliding to. So there are a lot of communications. Having that past experience with Patterson, it felt like he would be better, and he would help us with our communication up front. So putting him at the center spot and then moving Juice over, right, to left guard. Juice played guard for us when he came back at the end of last year. He played some guard, so it wouldn't be new to him. Right? He played it before, so felt more comfortable with him. And having him and Patterson in there, felt like our communication would be really good. And those guys did a really good job when it came to the protection. And we had one miscue, but overall the protection was better from the offensive line standpoint. And the run game, it wasn't our best day running. And I don't shy away from that. We got to do a better job of just running off the football, so we can improve there with running as being more physical, attacking the line of scrimmage and really dominating, playing on their side of the line of scrimmage. We can improve there, but I really like those 5 guys. And you want to get your best 5 guys. That's another thing that goes in, when you're evaluating.
And Joe, like you said, because he didn't have the greatest game running, but he finds a way to impact in the screen game. Right. He has another catch across the middle. This thing is 8 yards, so he helps you in the receiving game. But I want to ask you about a decision that came later in the week before the game and naming Joe Mixon a captain of the team. How important of a decision you think that was to have Joe become a captain? He's shown a lot of leadership, but just being named a captain, putting a C on the chest, you've had that situation before where you've had that responsibility of wearing a C. What do you think that meant to Joe, and can you take us through that decision of naming him a captain?
Yeah, as I continue to I always just watch our guys, and I did this last year as well, named Robert Woods the captain mid-season. It's just as I go through the season, sometimes when you start the season in training camp, everybody kind of picks the guys who they think are captains, and they're spot on. And I think Joe, by him missing time during our training camp, he missed a lot of time with injury, and I just felt like with him not being around, he still had a lot of votes for a captain. But I just seen Joe from the time he came back, right, up until, this week. I just see a guy who goes out and he exhibits like everything that I believe in. You talk about working hard in practice, not just talking, but doing it the right way, like motivating his teammates, like always encouraging his guys, like. And it's not all talk. He does it. And when he gets in the game, he finishes in a physical manner. He plays hard. He plays the right way. And I just want to show our guys, man, this is, as we're going through the season, this is what a captain is.
In just a moment, we'll return with part 2 of our DeMeco Ryans conversation.
Texans Playbook is sponsored by Community Coffee, strong as our roots. By Reliant, the official energy provider of the Houston Texans. And by your Houston area Ford dealers. Ford is the best in Texas.
We're back here on Texans Playbook, and earlier in the show, you saw part 1 of our conversation with DeMeco Ryans. Here's that second part of DeMeco with Mark Vandermeer and John Harris.
I know it's another game, and it's the next game. It's the most important game. But there's something about playing Dallas, isn't there?
Yeah, it's definitely something about playing Dallas. If you've been around Houston for any time, there's some Dallas fans that got to give you a hard time around here. I can't, I go to church, and I got Dallas fans at church bugging me. So, no, you're not getting tickets to the Dallas game. But, it's just feeling that from the fans and people around town who probably grew up when the Cowboys were really good in the 90s, and they still, carry that with them. And so it does add a little bit more to the game, being both teams here in Texas. And, we have definitely something to prove going up to Dallas. We want to show all our Texas people that, hey, the Texans are at least Texas' favorite team. Yeah. We got to go prove it against the Cowboys.
Yeah, absolutely. And then playing on Monday night.
Yeah.
Now, Mark and I have talked about this. We're a little older than you, Coach. Monday night was always the special night for people in our generation. Now, maybe some people say Sunday night, but Monday night is still that one opportunity, just like Sunday night, you get the opportunity for everybody to watch on that night. How special is it to play on Monday night up in Jerry World?
Yeah, it's very special. And for me as well, growing up, it was Monday Night Football or WWE. I was going back and forth between both, but Monday night is always special, always been special, and it's our guys will be fired up for it. What was that Monday night? I'm playing around with the kids shooting basketball outside, and my youngest son, Mike, he comes in like, "Daddy, we're watching Monday Night Football?" I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, son. I forgot Monday Night Football was on. I'm trying to give football a break for a little bit." But Monday Night Football is huge, and we really look forward to playing on this national stage again. And now it's time for us to get on the winning side on the national stage.
Well, third consecutive primetime game. Yes. So now you've been through it 3 times this season, the day-long wait for the night game, which we talked about before. There's something about that. And now you're more used to it. That's got to help a little bit as you take on the Cowboys.
It definitely helps. You get adjusted, get used to that schedule. And, it's hard. Now it's hard sitting around all day and being that last game. But, guys get I look at it as our guys get a little extra rest, right? A little extra time to prep, a little extra time to review some notes. And, man, it's no better time than being the only show on TV, right? That everybody's tuned in and watching. All of your peers get to watch. Like, it's time for us to go play winning football and go win, on prime time.
You got the extra time after the Jet game with the mini bye, but with the Monday night game, you get 1 extra day. So I know you changed the week. It's a really unique week with Tuesday being Monday of game week, you wanted to start the clock on time. I'm not going to do this to you, Johnny, where Saturday is Friday and all that stuff. But you want to be in that regular routine, right?
Yeah, try to keep our guys in as much of a normal routine as possible. So we gave them the day off after our last game, and now we'll start our week just a normal week. We just got an extra day of rest, which our guys definitely would appreciate.
Yeah.
Coach, I thought about this because I was driving home the other night, I don't know, midnight or whatever it is. Whenever you're driving home from a game or you're driving home from practice and idea pops in your head, whether it's a coverage, whether it's just a thought about a player, or it's, hey, something I'm thinking about, maybe it's something with the training staff or maybe something with nutrition. How do you kind of handle that for yourself when you kind of have these like innovative blasts of like, oh, wait, man, I really like this coverage against this play, or I'm thinking about something that happened in a game. I want to make sure that I make a point of that in a team meeting. How do you kind of handle that as a coach? Like when you're thinking about all that stuff, do you kind of jot it down in notes? Do you kind of just, I got to mentally make a note? Like sometimes I talk into my phone. How do you kind of handle that when you go through something like that?
No, that's great, man. I have so many different things running through my mind, so many ideas that pop up. So, one thing I do, like I have a lot of ideas that pop up, so I try to write them down. So I write them down on my board in my office, or like you said, on the phone, I'll type some notes in. Like I'll type the team, and I just start typing different notes and things that I may want to do during that particular week. And I always say, like, I always try to make sure I sleep on those like decisions before it's like it gets around 9 o'clock or something. Like, man, I'm not making any decisions past 9. I want to sleep on it. And once I sleep on it, get a good night's sleep, come back in the morning, I come back with even more fresh ideas and trying to figure out just, man, how can we put our guys in the best spot so they can go make plays.
Yeah.
What about these Dallas Cowboys? No Dak Prescott, Cooper Rush. I know they're coming off a tough outing, but they have a lot of talent on the team still. What can you tell us about your thoughts on this version of the Cowboys?
Yeah, still a lot of talent, right? And it starts with C.D. Lamb. That's the one guy that sticks out to me, like explosive player. And it's not just the deep passes, it's what he does with the football after he catches it. Like he has that ability, right, to make you miss and go to the house. So we have to be tight in coverage on him, and we have to tackle him really well. Really impressed with the young back Rico. I think he's doing a great job, explosive player that can make some plays. So I could probably see them leaning more his direction. And also a tight end, Ferguson, does a good job. I know defensively, getting Micah Parsons back, that's a big deal. He comes back, and he's able to see, impact the game instantly, getting 2 sacks last week. And also just Overshawn, the rookie linebacker, he's flying around, playing fast guy. I really like coming out of Texas. Thought he would fit really well in our scheme, just with his scheme, his length, his speed, athleticism. He's going to be a really big-time playmaker for him. So really good team. Never take any team lightly. They got playmakers. Diggs at the corner spot can take the ball away at any given time. So it's going to be, again, I know I always say it, but it's about the Texans executing the right way. Texans, we got to make sure we are getting out of our own way, like handling all those little things the proper way, being on the details so we can go compete against the Cowboys and not compete against ourselves.
When you mentioned Texas, it made me think, because you've got the Alabama logo on. The other night, there was a lot of Bama on that field on both sides. I mean, there were some dudes on that field. I know that you coach Alabama, obviously you have a lot of pride in Alabama, and I know it's a game you want to win, but in some sense you look at it and go, man, there's a lot of guys from my alma mater. I'm proud of what those guys are doing, even on the other side. I'm proud of them because they came through the program that you went through. What was that like, kind of seeing all those Alabama guys? I mean, you see a bunch of them every day, but to see Gibbs and J-Mo on the other side, Brian Branch, all those guys from Alabama, and you're representing for your university.
It's really cool, and it's really a proud moment when you can see all those guys knowing, we went to the same university and seeing those guys make it to the highest level in the NFL and seeing them be successful on this level as well. It makes you proud. I felt that during the week, but during the game, it's like, we got to get these guys. But it's a really cool moment. And not only just the players on the field, but also coaches. Sean Deion Hamilton, he's coaches the linebacker, Deshae Townsend. So it's a lot of Alabama connections there with the Lions. But it's really proud of all those guys and what they've done.
Amegy Bank Ask Coach question of the week. Okay, your relationship with social media, Coach, because you do have an X account, a Twitter account that you don't really use anymore. It's DRyans59. Yeah. Now, you did tweet after the season last year, thank you, fans, or whatever, you retweeted the Texans. And you used to, back in the day, tweet more. But what about your relationship with social media? You don't have time to be on social media, but what do you think of it all?
That's the thing. Now, I don't have time to be on it, but I do think, just with social media, it's such a cool way where everybody is right at your fingertips. Like the world has become so much smaller, right, because of it's easy to connect with many different people all over the place. So, I don't use it as much as I used to. May scroll every once in a while, but really watching a lot of film and trying to stay locked in on the film. But I think for social media, used the right way, right, it can be very beneficial. It just thinks it gets to be bad when it just, like anything, right? You do too much of it and it just consumes your day. You find yourself just continuously scrolling, right? It just takes you off of your focus, what you need to actually do to be productive during the day.
Okay, you got holidays coming up, so we always love the non-football questions with you. So I'm going to ask you a couple of either-ors. Number one, Christmas tree up before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving?
After Thanksgiving.
Artificial or real tree?
Oh, both.
Really?
Both? We do 2 trees. My wife would get one real tree and then one artificial as well.
Okay. Yeah. Presents Christmas Eve night or Christmas Day?
Oh.
Or dependent on whether there's a game.
Got to do some. You got to let the kids open up some on Christmas Eve.
Okay.
And then Christmas morning, that's when they get the big stuff. But we can't buy them too much.
No, you're right. No, you're right. Absolutely.
You're using up all my December questions already.
There's more where that came from. There's definitely more that came from.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot. Good luck this week.
Thank you, guys. Enjoyed it.
When we return on Texans Playbook, General Manager and Executive Vice President Nick Caserio sits down with the Texans radio crew. We're thankful that you're with us here on Texans Playbook. General Manager and Executive Vice President Nick Caserio talked with Vandermeer and Harris, Texans radio crew, and here's part of that conversation.
There's no Dak Prescott. There is a Cooper Rush. What can you tell us and give us the scouting report on the Cowboys, Nick?
Yeah, so I'd say since we played them in 22. The team, there's some carryover, but there are also a lot of differences. So they've had to deal with some injuries. They've had some guys that have been in and out. But I'd say overall, they have a lot of explosive players that can really impact the game in a significant way. I mean, offensively, really everything starts with CD. The thing about him, they just move him across the formation. So he plays in the perimeter, he plays inside the formation. He was among the most highly targeted receivers last year. I want to say it was like over 180 targets. This year, it's probably close to 100. Very productive player. He was rewarded with a contract extension in the offseason, and rightfully so. So everything in the passing game kind of goes through CD. Cooks has kind of been in and out, was there early, has been out a little bit, and I think they've seen the emergence of Jalen Tolbert. They had drafted. I'm sure you have Senior Bowl notes on him from a few years ago. So he's made a positive impact. And a player that's really been a kind of a steadying presence all the way through has been Ferguson. So been very productive, very instinctive, really good hands, kind of move the chains. And then they're kind of using multiple backs. Dowdle's giving them some production. They got Zeke's giving them some production. And on the offensive line, they've really heavily invested in the offensive line. You have 3 or 4 first-round picks. Guyton, first-round pick, playing left tackle. BB, third-round pick's actually playing center. Tyler Smith, the kid from Tulsa, has kind of played tackle, has played guard. Zach's been there kind of for ages, but Zach's been as good a football player as any in the league. And they've really gotten a lot of good production out of Steele, who wasn't drafted. Here's a guy who started at right tackle. So offensively, they got some explosive players. And then Rush, kind of was forced into action there last week. But they've, I think they're 5-2 with him as a starter. So smart guy, understands where to go with the football, very efficient. So, we're expecting them to improve on some of the things they did last week. And then defensively, starts with 11. He really is one player, but he might as well count for 3 players because he impacts the game wherever he is. So whether he lines up on the edge, whether he lines up inside, there are times he's really unblockable. He's one of the best players in the league, for a reason. And then they got a bunch of big guys inside. Mozzie Smith, who's a good run defender. They've been without Lawrence there a little bit, so they've kind of had a mix and match a little bit. But the 2 guys inside, they signed Kendricks, in the offseason, who has experience in Coach Zimmer's system. And then Overshone has really been a really good football player this year. Was hurt last year. I'm sure you got some notes on him as well when he was coming out, but big, long, athletic, fast, tough. And then Trayvon Diggs is taking the ball away from, a number of teams over the course of his career. They're probably going to get Bland back, who arguably was the best corner in the league last year, as productive on the ball as anybody. Good slot corner in Lewis. And then Wilson, very active and productive near the line of scrimmage, so between him and Hooker. So they got some explosive players on defense. Coach Zimmer does a good job with his scheme, presents some problems. And in the kicking game, you got one of the best place kickers. And then Bones does a good job just the overall composition of the special teams unit. So a lot of good football players, pretty explosive. And then when you add Turpin in there as a returner / offensive player, man, this guy's fast as hell. So we're going to have to make sure we cover the field and, with that, we're in good position to tackle him. So good football team. They got enough good players. They've been competitive in some games that haven't been as competitive, but we're expecting them to be ready to go here Monday night. So we're going to have to play good football in order to come out, with a win.
Yep.
Nick, this fascinates me because sometimes people from the outside look at a team struggling and say, "Oh, you should go up there and whatever," right? But I think there's no better example than maybe the 2022 Texans, who went up there having a tough season, record-wise, of course, but right in the game at the end, you got 1st and goal, unable to get it in, but the Cowboys came back the other way. But such a close game. Then you had the really close game with the Chiefs. You never know what's going to happen in this league.
Yeah, Schultz made a number of catches on that 2 minutes at the end of the
killed
game.
us.
So that's the NFL. It's really about what do you do that week, and the team that executes the best is going to give themselves an opportunity to win. So everybody has the same. You look around the league, I don't know how many one-score games there were last week. I want to say it was, 8 or 9 or 10. It seems like every week those games come down to a handful of plays in each game. So if you make them, you're going to be a good spot. If you don't, you're not. So not to oversimplify it, but that's the reality of the league each week. And I'd say those couple games that you alluded to, Mark, are good examples. So I think the expectation is you're going to prepare for that team to be ready to go and they play their best football. And it's going to be about your execution and doing the right things that are conducive to winning.
Nick, as well as anybody, this is not the Colts situation at quarterback where you have Anthony Richardson, who is Anthony Richardson, and you have Joe Flacco. They couldn't be more polar opposites. So preparing for one is definitely not preparing for the other. Cooper Rush and Trey Lance, Trey got in the game the other day for a little bit. They're not exactly the same. So does preparation, how is preparation different when you face a team like that? Because for the Colts, it's almost like 2 different game plans with 2 different quarterbacks in some sense. But how is it for Cooper Rush and Trey Lance?
Yeah. No, it's a good question, Johnny. I think when you go back, the preseason is a really a good, starting point. Yeah. Trey played a bunch in the preseason. He had 113, 100. He had a number of attempts. Yeah. So you can watch him play in this offense. And you go back and look at last year, Cooper played in 6 games or whatever it was, or a handful of games. Yeah. And then he played the other day, in the game on Sunday. So you're kind of looking at everything, kind of have an understanding, all right, what's a base offense? What are they doing? Are they doing anything different when one quarterback is in relative to the others? And then it's just understanding the strengths and weaknesses of those players. Trey is a little bit more athletic than Cooper, and maybe there's some things that he does a little bit different than Coop. So if he plays, maybe there'll be a little bit more of this, a little bit less of that. So it goes back to just understanding the personnel, understanding their strengths or weaknesses, and when they're in the game, are they doing anything different offensively, schematically, with how they want to play.
Yep.
3rd consecutive primetime game, 4th of the season so far, Nick. And you look at the situation coming off that game against the Jets, team came out firing against the Lions in the first half. Now, what about having the extra day for this? And it affects everything in the organization, like we said previously with these primetime
Yeah, it's
games.
twofold. So you kind of get an extra day, but then it's going to shorten a week, the following week against Tennessee. So maybe try to get a little bit ahead in anticipation of having a short week. We play Monday night, get back 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever it is. Tuesday's probably an off day, and then you're kicking into gear for that. So whatever the situation is, DR does a good job of just putting a schedule together, making sure the players understand what the schedule is, kind of have an extra day of recovery and or preparation this week. Everything just gets kind of moved back a day or up a day, however you want to look at it. So whatever the schedule is, you kind of know what it's going to be ahead of time. But, we have enough experience here over this season dealing with, say, a non-traditional schedule. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal.
Nick, you talked about Micah Parsons maybe being 3 players in one. He's at Penn State. He plays more off the ball position, and he kind of gradually has become a full-time defensive end, but he still has an opportunity to move around and play different positions. How problematic is it for, I say problematic, but just the fact that you have to be aware of where he is and how that changes maybe the blocking scheme this week?
No, it's problematic. So, because he's not really in the same spot. So he's kind of transitioned from playing off the ball to being a on the line of scrimmage player. He's as good of a defensive end or outside linebacker or rush player as in the league. But when you go back to Penn State, to your point, he was off the ball. Yeah. But he's just very unique. The way he's athletic, leverage, strength, power, quickness, speed, and it just presents a lot of problems. So you have to have an awareness of where he is, understanding he's probably not going to be in the same spot, but just you got to make sure you take care of him.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's going to be a long day. I mean, anybody that has, what did he have, over 100 pressures last year or something ridiculous? So you just better make sure you know where he is.
Yeah.
After a quick timeout, we're shuffling. It's the Shuffle with Chase B and his special guest this week, the great Johnathan Joseph. We're having fun here on Texans Playbook. We're also having a great time with a lot of new podcasts. One of them is The Shuffle with Chase B. He talked with Johnathan Joseph. They had a great conversation. Here's part one of that convo.
JJ, a.k.a. the DB of Oz, man. You know what I'm saying? He's the all-knowing, the all-seeing, for real.
Pass rushers ain't playing. I don't want to play.
Right.
Just talking crazy now. But like at the end of the day, if I was beat, hey, maybe J.J. Watt blocked it, knocked it down. Maybe he sacked the quarterback. But the best burger in Houston at one point in time was at Houston's.
Houston's, I'm not going to lie. That Hickory Burger, bro, I'm not going to lie. I can't believe you just said that.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that Hickory Burger used to go so crazy. So check this out, another episode of The Shuffle. You know what I'm saying? I'm here, your host, Chase B, avid Texans fan, you already know. And I'm here with one of the GOATs, you know what I'm saying? No pun intended. Johnathan Joseph is here. Any Texans fan, especially if, you grew up around when I grew up, are very familiar with Johnathan Joseph and everything you did for our defense, bro. So we appreciate you, first of all, for doing all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, man, no problem, man. I'm glad to be a part of the culture here, man. Part of this rich tradition, what we got going on.
For real. How does it feel to see the Texans now? I know it's been on a roller coaster for the Texans, you know what I'm saying? Like when we first started, before you even got to Houston in like those 2001 to 2007, 8 days, things were a little murky. Then things got really elite when you got here. Then it was a transition again, and we picked up. So how does it feel now to just see all the excitement going into this season? You know what I'm saying? It's really wild.
It's wild, man, because you remember what 2 years ago felt like. And,
right,
that was right around the time I retired. So, I'm ready to watch, all this going on. And then we had those 2 bad years. And it was hard for me just because I remember those days like when I was here, winning the conference titles and all those things, And now to look at getting C.J. Stroud, getting all these young pieces, what they had to go through. I already had Stingley and those young boys. Right. Thompson and the offensive line been here. Forming. Now you bring in DeMeco and all that.
Perfect storm, for real.
Perfect storm, you know what I'm saying? And I know where I remember when we had that little run with us, everybody was Super Bowl. And that's the ultimate goal. Right. But you have to build a consistent winner, and every year have a chance to be there. Right. And when everything play right, now you're there. And I think that's where we at. Obviously it's not a Super Bowl or bust for me. I know they're gonna put a good product out there, but I just want to see them continue to just get better and better.
How involved are you with these young guys now? Are you showing with the practice?
I did internship last year with training camp, and obviously I see a lot of the guys around the city, talk to them social media. They get drafted, sign free agency, try to reach out. And like for me, I'm always open ears. Things that I see, I try to reach out, but I don't want to overstep my boundaries. Obviously a guy like Stingley's going to always come in, wearing number 24 and things like that. Yeah. So I just try to look, if I see this can help out. Hey, the off season, you may want not play as much basketball. Right. You want to rest your body. Just little things that I can help out with that I remember the older guys helped me out with. And for me, it's just about being a springboard for those younger guys.
Yeah. So, JJ, you had a lot of legendary seasons here. Do you have a favorite year in particular that stands out to you?
It's probably, man, we won that playoff game, man. It's just,
it meant a lot.
It meant a lot, man, because when you play in the National Football League, you don't know when you're going to get to the playoffs, how many times you're going to get. If you're going to win a playoff game, every year we was winning that playoff game, but get to the second round, we never really advanced. So, you know what I mean? So you never really know. You take it for granted sometimes thinking, oh, it's easy. And I just remember the feeling in the arena, the team getting on that plane, coming back. It was like second to none because that's what we worked for, and we didn't understand it because it was kind of first for this organization. And I look back on it, man, just, J.J. Watt being a young guy. Everybody that was on that team, Whitney Merciless, just several guys that I can just think about. It meant a lot for us, and we all part of that, tradition and that history.
Yeah, for real. And shout out to Whit, man. We used to work out during COVID, man. Shout out to Billy. You know what I'm saying? I feel like for that year, I feel like I was on the Texans. Like during that COVID, I was running around and everything. I was in there.
Getting it in, man. That's what it's like, man.
So I was talking to Dre a little bit earlier about just that whole era of like the 2010 to like 2016, 17 of when I feel like every team was rolling. We had just gotten like Altuve and Bregman for all of them for the Astros. James had come over from Oklahoma City to play for the Rockets, and then we got you on defense here for the Texans, and we still had Dre and everybody. And it just felt like Houston sports were just the thing to be at. So how did it feel for as just a football player to feel like you kind of had like to hold your weight when it came to everybody else moving around in the city and just being like, all right, the Texans are also, a force in the city?
It meant a lot, man, because like you said, we kind of came on. We was 13-3. I remember 12-4.
Right.
So there's a lot of pressure on you. Now you look up, all of a sudden the Astros start, 90 games.
Right.
Winning, taking off. James Harden and crew come in. Those guys, Western Conference Finals.
Right.
And it's a good thing to be a part of, but also a lot of people don't understand the pressure.
Right.
Like I said, about being a
I
consistent
can
winner. Because now all eyes are on you, all the attention. Every time you step outside, somebody has an opinion, someone has something to say.
True.
So, for us as a player, you try to keep, your head down, have tunnel vision, and remember what's at stake. So that's the biggest thing, Obviously, you build relationships with those guys in the city and things and pull for each other. But it's all the ultimate goal. Those guys trying to win a world championship, and so are we.
Coming up, we've got more with J. Joe on The Shuffle with Chase B. Drew Doherty here on Texans Playbook, and Chase B has part 2 of his conversation with Johnathan Joseph, the former cornerback, Pro Bowl defender for the Houston Texans.
So a lot of things that I did throughout my career, you never really seen me take to social media and do that. It was all about my teammates, my coaches.
It's bigger than you, for sure.
People who knew what I brought to the table and things like that. And just to be a part of this, to have a chance to share, have different conversations in depth. Where people may not get to ask certain questions or hear the answer that they want to hear in a certain amount of time slot.
Right.
So just being available and just even having the opportunity to do that, I'm blessed.
Nah, for real. Like I used to tell Dre, man, I encourage everybody that has a story, man, just go ahead and tell it. Mess around, monetize off it. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Who knows what the future holds?
That's what it is, man.
Like
when I was getting done, people was like, what you going to do next in your career, this and that, and it was like, how the hell would I know if you're not putting it out there or saying anything?
Exactly.
Like, I'm not just waking up and saying, hey, what are you doing? What is this person? So now having these opportunities to where people can talk and display and say these things.
Right. No, exactly. Well, very well said. So I'm going to ask you the same GOAT questions that I asked Dre now, all right? Because you are very familiar with Houston, Texas, man. You've been here for a while. What is your GOAT food spot in Houston?
Oh, my God.
I know it's a tough one. We got some grub over here, man. You know what I'm saying?
But what people don't know, people starting to learn about me. I don't eat nothing. Like, I'm a real picky eater.
Okay.
So
Really?
I'm a burger guy. And the best burger in Houston probably, man, I don't want to say the best burger because I got to put Trill Burger in there because I love it. But I'm a burger. I eat a burger like every day, so it's different for me.
That's wild.
But the best burger in Houston at one point in time was at Houston's.
Houston's, I'm not going to lie. That Hickory Burger, bro, I'm not going to lie. I can't believe you just said that.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that Hickory Burger used to go so crazy.
Like, I never had a steak. I never had a salad. I never had a taco. I'm going to say that. Like, I just was always a picky eater. Like, when I get out here with you, I'm going to get me a grilled cheese out of the cafeteria now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
that's why you said that. For my birthday, I used to go to Houston's and get that Hickory Burger. That's wild. That's dope. Yeah, GOAT club in Houston.
Oh, yeah. My GOAT club in Houston. Oh, man. Whew. I say, I'm going to go throwback, man. It had to be Venue Belvedere.
That's what, Dre said Belvedere. That's crazy. It was like y'all was in the room together. That's why y'all got the podcast together, for real. Dre said Belvedere as well. And M-Bar, he brought up M-Bar.
M-Bar said that was before I got here, but I heard
okay.
before I got here.
So I asked Dre his GOAT wide receiver. I'm going to ask you your GOAT DB. I feel like I know the answer. But
my GOAT DB, I say Deion Sanders, but I had to put Champ Bailey in there.
Champ Bailey was
I had to put Champ Bailey in there because I watched him during my time, and it was just, like, Deion we obviously got to watch and idolize. But Champ Bailey I got to watch on the film.
Technically, you
know what I'm saying? I got to actually.
Right. But Champ Bailey was a dog for sure. Your GOAT basketball player.
GOAT MJ, but I grew up a Bron fan. Like, he's my same age, so I was able to just see him. I remember one of my older homies played with Ohio State, and all he kept talking about.
Right.
It wasn't like social media and that. Man, we got this kid in Ohio, man. He better than half of the guys in the league.
Shook the world.
And all of a sudden, it was Bron.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just had to say Bron, man. Just seeing, him, and I'm a big Kevin Durant fan.
Yeah, true.
And the sleeper for me is Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
talent level.
I love ball.
Right. You hooped?
Oh man, I hooped, man. That's what all I did all during the off season. I played basketball. That's what I love to do is play basketball.
Yeah. What would you play in Houston?
I played in Houston. I played 24. I played all around.
Oh,
guys
still
still trying to get me playing now. You know, I'm 40 now, and I still can play, but it ain't the same like it was. You know, when I was 28, 29, 30.
Down a little. These little young boys, man. I ain't getting dunked
35 and up league now.
Yeah, bro, I ain't getting dunked on by these little man. Your GOAT rapper.
My GOAT rapper. Man, for me, I'm a big Tupac fan, but I had to say Jeezy.
Dre said the same. Dre said Pac. What's up with y'all, man? Y'all locked in for real. Pac and Jeezy, your two favorite?
Yeah, my two favorite because, you know, Jeezy was just my time during high school. Just the movement he had with the white tees, everybody playing his music. So
they even when I was in high school, they banned us from wearing white tees. We couldn't even wear them no more. It was like, nah, y'all got some hoes. That's why Dre definitely said Pac as well. Who's your GOAT singer?
My GOAT singer. I'm going Alicia Keys.
Alicia Keys.
Alicia Keys.
Diary of Alicia Keys.
Yeah, I'm going Alicia Keys. Alicia Keys.
GOATed for sure. And last one, what's your GOAT TV show?
My GOAT TV show. I got two, man. I have to give two. I'm a Martin guy, and I have to say I'm old school because my daddy was older, so Sanford and Son.
Sanford and Son for sure. Yeah. That was Martin
they gave me like my senior. Like, hey,
yeah.
If you watch it, you'll get it.
You'll get it.
You know, there were a lot of things that he said on TV back then, like he probably shouldn't have been saying and getting away with.
No, for real. And Dre also said Martin as well, which is why. And I said Martin too. So I feel like it's just if you was born around when we was born in that like 1983 to like 1995, like it's Martin got to be your favorite. Either that or there's like Fresh Prince and.
But I feel like more people probably went and bought like you know back in the day when they had on Tuesday you can go to Best Buy.
Really bought seasons.
Everybody was probably going to buy those collections more than anything. I feel like Martin.
Yeah, and every episode was so different, so it's like you can't really go wrong watching Martin. But once again, J. Joe, man, appreciate you stopping by. You know what I'm saying? I know me, you, and Dre going to be a lot of games this year. You know what I'm saying?
Sure,
critiquing the offense and defense. I'm going to get my little input every now and then. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to schemes and defenses and all that. And maybe I'll just go get a True Burger.
Oh, yeah, for sure,
but,
man.
I appreciate you stopping by. Make sure y'all check out GOAT Talk with J. Joe and Andre Johnson, man. Appreciate you stopping by, bro.
Appreciate you, Chase B, man.
See you on the side.
Brother, man. No doubt.
After the break, what if I told you that foes on the field could reunite and get together and do some great off of it? We're back here on Texans Playbook, and you know, Sunday Night Football did not go the way that the Texans would have liked, but earlier that weekend, some former Texans and some former Detroit Lions got together and did some fantastic stuff for the hungry here in Houston. In the lead up to the Sunday Night Football game between the Detroit Lions and Houston Texans, the two squads put the competition aside for one day to serve the greater Houston community. Powered by the Texans legends and Lions peer pride, the two organizations volunteered for 2 hours at the Houston Food Bank to help the fight against hunger in Houston. This is the first time that the Texans have participated in a collaborative community effort with another NFL team, but it will not be the last.
Health is wealth, we all know that, but whenever you can just take time from yourself and give to others and make it a better situation from them, you have to make sure you do it.
A special thanks to both Legends communities for coming together to tackle the fight against hunger. We sure had a lot of fun putting this show together and hope you enjoyed it as well. We'll be back again next time, same place, same time. And for Gardy Swangby, who coordinated all this, I'm Drew Doherty. We'll see you next time on Texans Playbook.